Good evening. It is Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021. Fortunately, the extreme heat has taken a break. Today is the first day in a couple of weeks where the high temperature's been less than 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 for my metric friends. We're hoping the summer rains come soon. I like reading the old westerns, wonderful stories of the American West where the good cowboys do battle with the bad guys, and they usually win, including winning some romantic interest, saving the ranch, and bringing peace and prosperity to their loved ones. There are many, many modern Christian tales that always have the same theme. The good guys win, the problems are solved, the orphanages are saved, the loved ones live happily ever after in wondrous relationship and fellowship. We like the good stories. But that's not always the truth of the matter. In this final passage of Hebrews chapter 11, we see a very disturbing side of faith. Jesus alluded to this many times, describing persecution and opposition for believers. We sometimes need to be reminded that we serve a Savior who endured a crucifixion for our sakes. And we want to be like him. You see, there's one kind of faith in God, a rather shallow faith, that only rejoices when things are going well for us. There's another kind of faith, a deeper faith, that trusts God when things are going poorly. In Hebrews chapter 11, verses 35b to verse 40, and I'm reading from the New Living Translation, second edition, it says, "But others were tortured, refusing to turn from God in order to be set free. They placed their hope in a better life after the resurrection. Some were jeered at, and their backs were cut open with whips. Others were chained in prisons. Some died by stoning. Some were sawed in half, and others were killed with the sword. Some went about wearing skins of sheep and goats, destitute, and oppressed and mistreated. They were too good for this world, wandering over deserts and mountains, hiding in caves and holes in the ground. All these people earned a good reputation because of their faith, yet none of them received all that God had promised. For God had something better in mind for us, so that they would not reach perfection without us." Wow. The author of Hebrews mentions that these heroes had placed their faith and hope in a better life after the resurrection. He mentions undescribable torture, imprisonment, public humiliation, and several terribly painful and slow, agonizing deaths. You see, we are mistaken if our only view of faith is sitting in a circle, joining hands, and singing praise choruses on upholstered chairs in air-conditioned buildings. Faith is also trusting God for a better tomorrow when today is really, really bad. The kind of days when tomorrow is not promised, and we have to look for the day after tomorrow. He speaks of extreme poverty, poor clothing, homelessness, and being publicly humiliated and picked on. He says these faithful and mistreated people were too good for this world, so God called them home. Are we too good for this world? Or are we so comfortable in this world that we see this world as a comfortable home? Where is our faith? He specifically mentions that these wonderful saints did not receive all that they had been promised on earth. They had to wait until heaven to receive the blessings that God had promised. We have such a need for instantaneous responses. The idea of waiting for heaven is difficult for us. If I pray a prayer, I want God to answer that prayer right now. I don't have the strength of character to wait for the answer. And my faith wavers if God takes too long. I need a faith that looks farther than the short-sightedness of my wants and looks beyond to the presence and promise of God. I need to recognize that any difficulty I am presently experiencing is only temporary. It may be painful, but it is temporary. Remind me of that when I whine. We need to trust God. He is in charge. God bless you.